In the last chapter, we considered inputs, production, and costs in the short run. In the short run, capital was assumed to be fixed input, labor, or variable input. But whether one factor is a fixed input or a variable input depends on the custom. For instance, in Japan, employment is usually a lifetime employment. Likewise, in France, it's very difficult to fire an employee. But this week we will be considering long-run production decisions, so it does not matter whether capital is a fixed input in the short run or not. In the long run, all inputs are variable inputs. So in this chapter, we will be deriving a long-run average cost curve from a series of short-run cost curves. And we'll consider various types of long-run average cost curves. Some are V-shaped, others are U-shaped, and so on. And this explains the reason why in some industries there is a large number of firms, while in other industries there are few firms. Okay, here are two pictures. I think the picture in the left is a farmer using a tractor or something like that in the United States. It's a picture of a U.S. farm. On the right, we have a bunch of farmers using conic-shaped hats. This looks like Vietnam. So which farming method is most efficient? Well, it all depends on the factor prices like wage and rent. In the United States, wage rate is high, labor is expensive, so they are using a capital intensive method. Whereas in Vietnam, labor is cheap, the wage rate is very low, whereas capital input or machinery are expensive and rent is high. So they are hiring a whole bunch of farmers in the field. So how long is the long run? Well, it is long enough that allows a firm to change all its outputs. So we are not talking about a fixed time period using the calendar. It could be 1 month, or it could be 1 year, or several years, or even a whole decade. So it all depends on the industry in question. So how do these firms use an efficient combination of capital and labor inputs? How do we find the equilibrium or cost-efficient input combinations? Well, it depends on the wage rate, which is cost, and the value of marginal product of labor, which is marginal benefit. If a firm hires one more worker, marginal cost of production rises. Marginal cost of a worker is wage rate, and that must be compared to marginal benefit to the firm. Marginal product of labor is the additional output by the last worker, and its value is this marginal product of labor times output price. Likewise, rent must be compared to the marginal product of capital times the price. So we are comparing these two ratios. If there is an inequality between these two ratios, we have not achieved the efficient combination of inputs. So let's consider an example. Marginal product of an input is not constant, but given the other input, if you increase only the quantity of one input, we face diminishing marginal returns. So let's consider an example. I think this is a picture of Burger King. Judging from the Hebrew scripts here, it looks like a Burger King franchise in Israel somewhere, probably northern part of Israel, like Sea of Galilee, because from the Sea of Galilee down south Jericho, there is nothing. It's a long 5-hour drive from the Sea of Galilee. At any rate, if we keep adding machines but hold the number of workers constant, marginal product will decline. Okay, so diminishing marginal product is explained, can be illustrated using this diagram. Here, the number of workers is 5. It's a fixed input in this example. Capital input increases from 1 unit to 2 units, then 3 units, then 4 units, and output increases from 500 to 1500, and so on. So marginal product is, this difference is 1000 units, so that's marginal product of labor. Marginal product of capital or machinery. Then marginal product of capital shrinks to 500 units, then to 100 units. So this table illustrates diminishing marginal product of capital input. So in order to make an efficient input combination decisions, we're comparing marginal benefits and marginal costs of each input. So marginal product times its price is the extra revenue to the firm, whereas if you hire one more worker, it's going to increase cost by the amount of wage rate. Okay. Likewise, if you rent a capital equipment, marginal product the output goes up by marginal product capital. If you multiply by the price, it becomes the marginal benefit. Marginal cost of the capital input is R. So price is common to both terms. So these ratios, we are comparing these two ratios. Since P is common, we can eliminate P and compare these ratios. Per dollar of expenditure on either capital equipment or labor. So when efficient combination of inputs are used, that can be detected by the value of marginal product of capital. Sorry, value of marginal product of labor and wage ratio. We need to compare these two. Likewise, value of marginal product of capital to rent ratio. Okay, if these two are equal, efficient combination of capital and labor inputs are used. So deleting price, we have this ratios: marginal product of labor to wage, and compare that to marginal product capital to rent. If an inequality exists between the two, then efficient combination of inputs are not used. One has to change either the amount of labor or capital or both. So the principle of diminishing marginal product of labor eventually sets in as we add more workers. Let's take a look at this example. A garbage picking company. There are two firms in Ames that specialize in waste management or recycling businesses. One is Chitty and the other is Waste Management Company. So they have a machine or capital input called truck, and then they also hire a bunch of workers. Although this picture is not from Ames. So here are a couple of questions. What is true about the long-run model of the firm? All inputs are fixed? No. Output is fixed? No. All inputs are variable input? Yes. All firms will break even? Well, that remains to be seen. Next. If a firm hires more labor while keeping physical capital constant, then the firm will eventually see diminishing marginal product of labor. Okay? Increasing marginal product of capital? No. Marginal product of capital will also decline.